Good evening. Welcome to Motostories and More, the only place to get all your motorcycle news, builds, stories, and more. Please sit back and enjoy the show.
All right, today is a bittersweet day. On the good side, it's beautiful outside. It's a lovely 60-degree fall day here in Ohio. The leaves are changing, the leaves are falling, there's fall things to do. It's a great time to get out with the family. But unfortunately, it also signals pretty much the end of our motorcycling season up here. I'll always keep a bike ready to go at any time, just in case we get some awesome weather and they haven't thrown salt or anything yet. So I'm definitely gonna take advantage of every day that I can for the rest of this season. But for the rest of the bikes, now is a great time to get them prepped for winter before it gets too cold to be in the garage and you don't feel like doing it. So today we're gonna jump into that. I'm gonna show you what I do to make sure my bikes are gonna start next spring. So let's go over to the garage. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is, you probably obviously already know, is we're gonna get out the old gas. Now, this bike has been to about 15 events this summer. I put gas in it from anybody that would give me gas or gas that I brought. We were riding it quite a bit, so it's not a big deal. But now that it's not gonna get ridden as much, we don't know what's in it. It might be non-ethanol, it might not. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna suck it out. Now, you can do it in many different ways. Electric pumps. This one works great if the hole is big enough to get this in there. If not, you have manual pumps. Fortunately for me, this one's big enough, so we're gonna drop it down in the gas tank. Obviously, get yourself a receptacle. Put the other end in the receptacle, and I'm gonna hit on, and there we go. We are sucking the gas out of this tank. So I'm not gonna go through and do all the bikes on camera. You obviously know you gotta do all your bikes. But we're gonna do a few. We're gonna use this guy, who does a pretty good job getting it all out. Come on. Okay, and it's got an auto off. That's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna do another bike with the hand pump, show you how that works, and then I'm gonna give you a pro tip to make you the MVP with your spouse. So make sure you stay around for that. All right, so then any of your road going bikes like my Harley, Africa Twin, BMW, any of those things, when you take your gas cap off, if you look, there's obviously a metal plate. That's to keep you from putting like a diesel pump or something at a gas station in it. Unfortunately, a lot of the electric pumps that have like the propeller end won't fit down in there. So it's always good to have a backup plan. I have myself this little hand pump. We can shove this right into the hole. Pro tip, get a little clamp, any kind of a clamp. You don't really want to hold it tight, but what you want to do is put it around that hose and then clamp the hose or the clamp itself to the thing, just holding the hose. That way when you're pumping away, the end doesn't come out, fly around and fling gas all over your garage. So again, it's just a viable way to get the gas out. Nothing special, nothing exciting, but you can hear it going in. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pump this gas out, and then I'm gonna show you that pro tip. So hang in there. If you live in a place that you might get some moisture in your garage, it might not be 100% just sealed off from the elements all winter long. Because occasionally I'll pull a truck in to work on it or something and all that moisture gets in the garage. So in the spring, if you just want to wash your bike and have the chrome look exactly as it is when you put your bike away, just get any light oil, doesn't matter, it could be Walmart light oil, sewing machine light oil, doesn't matter, any light oil. Spray it on a rag and then just wipe down your chrome. Just give it a little, you don't have to put a lot, just get a tiny film on there. And what that tiny film of oil will do is keep corrosion from forming. Now, granted, if you're throwing salt on your bike and riding in the winter, you might want to invest in some of the expensive stuff like ACF 50, which actually bonds to the metal. But if you're just storing your bike in your garage and you just want to make sure that nice shiny chrome or metal, and that'll work on painted metal, like on a fork or something like that, and especially anodized too, aluminum, you can just write a little bit of light oil on that as well, and it'll keep corrosion away. So that's definitely a pro tip. And like for a $2 can of like light oil from any kind of thing, WD-40 is an excellent example. The blaster product I just use, any of these things, any kind of a light oil, sewing machine light oil. If you have an abundance of that laying around, just throw it on a rag. And again, a little bit goes a long way. You just want to coat it enough to make sure that moisture doesn't build up and allow any kind of corrosion. I got about 4.5 gallons out of those bikes. that is fuel that doesn't necessarily want to be in those bikes all winter, but it's still decent fuel. So my spouse is fairly supportive of my motorcycling and doesn't really hate it. But why not surprise her with a full tank of gas? Because I almost guarantee you that this car is on empty. I don't know about your spouse, but my spouse likes to ride the edge, and every time I get in her car, it's riding right on E. So hey, pro tip, take the fuel that you just took out of your motorcycle and fill up your spouse's car. And just like that, I've made my wife happy, which means my life is now happy for a short while. The only fuel stabilizer I could find in 10 gas stations was stable. No Startron around here. So I'm going against my own intuition, but I'm going to run stable in this. Don't judge me. All right. So again, only reason I'm doing this and showing you is put it in before you fill the gas. It really makes a difference. It really mixes it into the gas really well for you. So that's it. So, and in case you're a noob to recreational gas, look for recreational, ethanol free. You're going to pay a lot more for it, but that's what you want in your bikes with carburetors. All right, I'm going to put this shit in here. I'm going to fill these guys up, meet you back at the garage. Those 3 jugs were $74. $74. Okay, and obviously just fill the tank, but I figured I'd really show you that I mean fill it up. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in there, and then I'll show you when I'm done. All right, I was being serious, and I mean fill it up. There it goes, got a gas bubble. So it is right there at the very tippity top. It's gonna go in there, push it in. That gives very little room for air to be in there. And that way you can't pull more moisture in, because air and gasoline usually pulls moisture in it, especially ethanol. But hopefully this doesn't have any ethanol. And with the stable, that should keep most of it out. And then just by filling it all the way, you're just ensuring that you don't have any space for that to develop. All right, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start it and run it for 5 minutes to get all that gas down and through the carburetor. And then we should be good to go, put it away for the winter. All right, so after all the gas is done and stuff and you've wiped down your chrome, next thing I'll do is I'll make sure my bikes are on battery tenders, which every time I put a battery in a bike, I put the leads on it, and they're 90% of the time on battery tenders anyways. It's always a good thing. Never leave your battery unattended, especially if you have cold climate. It'll just sit there and it'll die, and you're gonna spend a lot of money on batteries. Battery tenders are 40 or 50 bucks for a decent one, and they will save you a ton of money in the long run. So always throw your bike on a battery tender. Now, if you have a bike that you've ridden a lot and it's ready for an oil change, maybe needs air filters and stuff, great thing to do is to do that before you put it away. So I think in a week or two, if the weather cooperates and I have time, I'm gonna do it to the Africa Twin. I'm gonna give it an oil change, I'm gonna change out the air filters and just do general maintenance across the whole thing. That way next year it's ready to go. Also, I put the most miles on the Africa Twin this summer. And so that oil's got about 2,500 miles on it since the last change. I do oil changes every 3,000 miles on that bike, approximately. And I don't want to leave that oil in there all winter long. It has contaminants, metal, whatever's in it from all the riding and stuff. You don't want to leave it just sitting there. That can cause pitting and other things. So if you do have a lot of miles on your bike, it's always a good thing to change the oil before you put it away. Then also in the spring, when you get that really nice day and there's no salt on the roads and you want to get out and go, your bike's pretty much ready to go, except for, just a quick road check to make sure that the tires are inflated, etc. So that's pretty much what I do with most of my bikes. Like I said, unless it's a bike that I rode a lot, then I'll do a full going over breakdown. But if it's just something that was on and off and is one of my occasional bikes that I ride, I make sure it has non-ethanol gas. I make sure to wipe down the chrome and metal parts with a light oil. And then we make sure we take care of the battery. Besides that, there's a lot of schools of thought about covering or not covering. What I've always been told is dust is better than rust. So a little dust in the spring, blow it off, wipe it off is great. But anytime you cover something, especially with like a moisture barrier, you have the chance that if moisture gets in there, then it's trapped inside there, and that's where condensation can come from. So if you have a garage, don't put those hardcore motorcycle covers over your bike in the garage, because as temperature changes up and down, condensation can form. If condensation has nowhere to go, you're going to get corrosion. If you're really worried about it, throwing an old bed sheet over the bike just to keep piles of dust off of it is a way better thing than something that's going to keep that moisture inside. Again, that's if you keep your bike in a garage. If you keep your bike outside, that's beyond my knowledge. I could never do that to one of my bikes. You're on your own. All right, well, I'm going to get to work on the rest of these. I got 5 more bikes to do. I'm going to get those set up and ready to be put away for the winter. So we'll see you guys on the next one.